Professor Ransford, Gyampo, please. You see,
I can't say. What do you want me to say? I don't know. I came here reading about some political science theories that will tend to offer some explanations to what happened yesterday. But from the horse's own mouth, people were greedy. Some people decided to be greedy. And this is an empirical information coming from somebody who is part of the group. And so I don't know whether we shouldn't give him more time to speak about these things, because I think he's nailed it, and he's giving practical examples.
Exactly.
Some of the things that he himself, has experienced, and that speaks to the fact that people decided to be greedy in a manner that constitutes a severe affront to our quest to boost the role of Parliament, and particularly this kind of hung Parliament we have as a countervailing authority to the powers of the executive. It is disappointing, to say the least. Yesterday I spoke to a few people. I know some were very down, and but the point is, those who have conscience did what they could, and those who decided to be greedy, well, we leave them to their fate, and we ask the good people of Ghana to judge them. You see, basically, a hung Parliament is good because it enables the Parliament to serve as a check on the executive arm of government, and it also ensures that there is a demonstration of real politique and respect on the part of the executive to Parliament. Again, a hung Parliament can work not to obstruct the executive arm of government if the executive arm of government develops a certain mastery in lobbying and cajoling the minority side to vote alongside the majority. So ideally, there is nothing wrong if the majority side is able to lobby the minority side to vote alongside their position if the cause is good. And there is also nothing wrong if the minority side is also able to lobby the majority side to vote along its side if the cause is good. And that's how come, for the first time, we are happy and we applauded the minority side when they were able to lobby some members of the majority side to vote along their side in selecting who becomes the Speaker of Parliament. When that happened, we're happy. Minority was able to lobby some members of the majority side in determining who must be the Speaker of Parliament, and we applauded because the cause was good. Now, in this particular instance, the minority side had a good cause that had previously been championed by the owners of the land. My teacher and my mentor, Professor Michael Kwe, who is bereaved, said, I'll come to the house to come and greet your mentee. I've still not been able to pass by. My condolence, I'll come to the house to come and greet. But my teacher and my mentor, Professor Michael Kwe, told me that Ghana has owners. Ghana has owners. Now, if you fail to go to do direct survey of the ordinary people to galvanize their idea, if you're not able to do so, you will still be able to have a feel of the views and interests of the masses by talking to the owners of the land. And who did he refer to as the owners of the land? He said there are certain identifiable groups identifiable groups. So you have chiefs, you have civil society organizations, you have pressure groups, you have all those identifiable groups. He refers to them as the owners of the land. Now, the owners of the land had, and I believe they still have, a certain clear position that they were expecting Parliament to vote in sync with that position. A Parliament that is not able to vote in sync with the position of the owners of the land is not worth its salt.
It's not worth its salt.
Yes. So what is the position? What was the position of the owners of the land? Apart from President Akufo-Addo and apart from his appointees, I never heard anybody in Ghana saying that the size of government is good and must be maintained. Virtually every member of civil society, the owners of the land, the ordinary people, if you speak to them, they were all saying that the size of the government is too big. And the complaint had gone beyond the shores of our country to include complaints even from members who are outside the shores of the country, and diplomatic community and development partners. They were all saying that we should downsize. And at one point in time, the call for downsizing became a cliche. Everybody was saying it to the point that it now resonated with ordinary people. And so, when I heard that members of Parliament were saying that they would want to vote in a certain line to ensure that the government downsizes, I felt that they were just serving the interests of their constituents. I've told you that the foremost function of every parliament is representation. Representation essentially connotes acting in a manner responsive to the interests of your constituents. So if the interests and wishes of your constituents say that, look, the size of the government is too big and let us reduce, then you must vote to reflect that size. So the minority side had a good cause. And so, because they had a good cause, I was expecting that they were going to live according to that cause. Lobbying and trying to talk to the other side to vote along your side is normal in every parliamentary democracy. But if you have a good cause and you are lobbied to sacrifice that good cause, then there is something wrong with your head.
There's something wrong with your head?
Yes, because you have a good cause. And you are there because you are representing a certain interest. The interests you are seeking to represent are the interests of the owners of the fiduciary power that you exercise. And so, if in trying to exercise that interest, you act in a manner that is not in sync with the interests of the people who own the power, then I repeat, there's something wrong with your head. But, well, fortunately, the majority of the minority side voted to support the principled position that they have. The majority of the minority side voted in support of the principled position that they have. But the minority of the minority side kicked against their own principle. Now, I want to hope and believe that all that my senior brother,
Dr.
Hagen is saying, I want to hope and believe that it's not true.
You want to
I just want to assume that it's not true.
The sabotage, the greed. It's coming from the horse's own mouth.
I'm trying to play a certain devil's advocate. But you see, so in that case, I hope that those who voted against their own conscience did so out of their conviction that in that case supported the size of the government. But if they did so as a result of what my brother, Honorable MP, is saying, then they are a monumental embarrassment to the cause, to strengthen Parliament as a countervailing authority to the powers of the executive. Now, when they are able to identify such people, then I would say that their party and their constituents should deal with them.
You should deal with them.
When they are able to identify such people, I will say that their party and their constituents should deal with them for voting in a manner that went contrary to, number one, the constituent demand, and number two, the party position. Now, the argument yesterday I was trying to nose around, what really may have accounted for this. And I know my brother here mentioned this particular point in passing, that you see, traditionally, members of Parliament and historically, members of Parliament, they don't tend to vote against their own when it comes to ministerial appointment.
As their friends
yes.
And
If you look at the trend, given the relationship that they may have established among themselves, so we come from different camps. But you see, I know politicians who tell me that, you see, our best friends are outside our party. Our enemies are actually within our parties, and so he may be NDC, I may be CPP, but we may be very good friends. Okay, and so I have heard that traditionally and historically, because of the relationship that may have been cultivated, it becomes difficult for members of Parliament to vote against their own, especially when there is ministerial appointment. But I'm saying that this practice indeed is a bogus norm that undermines progress in our quest to strengthen Parliament. Yes, we may be friends, but if we have a principled position that resonates with the interests and desires and demands of our masses, then friendship should not be able to come in between ourselves and the position or the interest of the ordinary people whose fiduciary trust we exercise. So, I must also add that, if what my brother again said is true, that the few who voted in radical departure of their own principled position to reduce the size of government, if they did so as a result of bitterness, given the recent reshuffle in the minority leadership in Parliament, if that is what they did, then I would advise them that it is politically smart on their part for them to cut such bitterness and to offer sincere support to the new leadership, because they will need the support of this new leadership in their future and bigger political future, in their future and bigger political plan. Okay, so those who are being led or influenced by bitterness to attempt to sabotage the current minority leadership must know that they would need the same minority leadership, their support, in their quest to climb higher the ladder of political progression tomorrow. Now, to the majority side, I also say they were unprincipled.
Why?
Because in not too long ago, some of them came out openly to demand the ousting of Akufo-Addo. And later, when we said it was some of them, later they themselves came to tell us that it is now a majority caucus position that Akufo-Addo must go. Now, clearly we realize that the president was dribbling them, and in trying to dribble them, he tried to also co-opt some of their leadership, the leadership of the majority side that felt that Akufo-Addo must go. He co-opted them through some of these appointments. But I was expecting the majority side to also vote in a certain way to send a certain message to the president that they do not, or they didn't like the fact that the president seem to have taken them for granted. Oforiatta is still there. And now the call for him to go has died down. Even the champions of those calls, now they don't want to be associated with that call. They are scared. If you call and you ask them, they are scared. And so both the minority side and majority side are a monumental disappointment to our quest to promote Parliament's role or to strengthen Parliament's role as a countervailing authority to the powers of the executive. And so generally, it appears that our hung Parliament is still not ready to live up to the mandate that the people of Ghana gave to them following the 2020 parliamentary election. There is a point that my brother Richard Anyagba, are you still my student? Okay, yes, I have a lot of students. If you are my student, you don't banter me unnecessarily, otherwise you have failed.
Professor Gyampo.
No, there is something that he said off camera that I thought was apt, and the minority side henceforth must learn. He said, you can go on whipping. You can go on with your whipping system, but don't do it publicly. Especially when you know that there is likely to be a secret ballot on an issue. Otherwise, it's becoming one too many. Oftentimes we hear the minority side saying, we are going to do this, we are going to do that, we are going to do this, we are going to do that. Then when it matters most, they vote in a manner contrary to what they tell that they are going to do. The next time, if they don't learn and they don't learn and they don't take advice from this council that you can whip but don't do so publicly, then the next time they tell us that they are going to do something, we will not take them serious.